Okay. Okay, so I'm Shannon Hopkins. I am the Director of Guidance at the high school. And every year we do a curriculum night, an evening for parents. Usually it's largely attended by 8th grade parents. At this point, I would usually ask for a show of hands of how many of you are parents of 8th graders, because that's usually who attends. And basically, I am going to go through the curriculum and the graduation requirements at the. So what I will ask, and everybody is already muted, so I appreciate that, is if you have questions, if you wouldn't mind um, putting them in the chat feature. You can ask a question directly to me, and then I will answer to the group if you don't want everybody to see the question, or you can ask a question to the whole group. It's up to you. The PowerPoint that I'm going to show you is already updated, and it's on the school website under the guidance page. And there, if you click on curriculum, you'll see both this presentation and also our curriculum guide, which is a more in-depth, has descriptions of all of the courses we offer and some other programs and things like that. I will also be doing this for students in particular. Usually I go down to Union School and I do a presentation. This year, again, we'll be doing it virtually, but I also provide for them at that point a pared down curriculum guidebook. So that only shows the class freshmen can take, just so they're not overwhelmed when they are choosing their courses. They will also get a one-page sheet to kind of help them manage their courses, and then I will review this information with them, and then later in February we will do a virtual orientation. We started 2 years ago bringing the 8th grade students up to the high school, a morning group and an afternoon group, splitting them up. And we had students show them around the building. We had them meet in the smaller groups with their high school guidance counselor. We had them bring their Chromebooks and pick their classes. They were able to ask the current high school students questions about electives and things like that. So we're still going to do that virtually. It's going to be without tours, but we are going to still break them out by guidance counselor. We are going to have students, current high school students, involved so they can ask questions if they would like. So then they will enter their course requests right in PowerSchool at that point. And then I forget exactly which week, then they will meet a counselor at Union just to make sure they have chosen the right amount of credits and the correct courses and things like that. Every once in a while we have a student request like 95 credits, which would be 2 years worth of credits. So we try to help them out with them. So that's essentially the transition process that takes place between now, February, and then March. And then in the summer, we do an orientation program, usually the 2 Thursdays before Labor Day weekend. We bring the students into the building, and then each counselor does a different program. We split them up into 4 groups. And then after each of the programs are completed, they're allowed to walk the building with their schedules so they can kind of get a feel for the building, figure out where their classes are, things like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am not going to read every slide. I know that that is not enjoyable for anybody, but I am going to obviously hit the important parts. So obviously, the purpose is to provide an overview of courses and review the graduation requirements at the. So we'll start with the English department. Mr. Ursulisi is the supervisor. These are the goals of the English department. These are the parts that I'm not going to read. You can certainly do that because this presentation is posted. So English is one of the classes that students have to take all 4 years that they're in high school. So every year that a student is in high school, they know that they are going to take English. The state and the local graduation requirement is 20 credits in English. Um, the other requirement is the NJSLA. So last year they said that students had to pass ELA 10 and Algebra 1. This year they released new graduation requirements that we are, for the current students, we are only testing ninth graders, which so that would mean it would be ELA 9 and whatever math class ninth graders are in. So this is the information I have right now. Right now, we are preparing to test in the spring. I don't know if that's going to happen at Union School, at the high school. That's something that the state will let us know, but we are preparing, and they are saying that we will be testing. That testing continues in high school. And right now, they said that the students will have to take ELA 9 and pass ELA 9. Here are the sequence of required courses. They're kind of numbered like college courses: English 100, 200, 300, and 400, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. We have honors levels all 4 years. And we also have AP English language and AP English lit. Both of those meet the English graduation requirement. So students do have some options once they get to 11th grade between regular co-teach, honors, or AP. So that's the other thing I did want to stress, is that within English 100, 200, 300, and 400, we do have co-teach sections, which means there are 2 teachers in the room, both of which are content certified, one of which is also special education certified. We have, for the size of school that we have an enormous amount of electives. I've been in other districts, schools similar in size, where we didn't have nearly the electives that we have here at Rutherford, which is excellent. It gives students the ability to really explore, different career paths and fields and things of that nature. So these are electives that are just offered in the English department. I don't know if you can see where it says writing for college. I have DE in parentheses, and I do have that on other slides throughout. That means that is a dual enrollment class. So we have a lot of courses that students can take where they can earn college credit while in high school. So for instance, writing for college is a dual enrollment course with Bergen Community College. So if students who are in that course, if they register through Bergen Community College and pay for the credits, it's about, with the registration fees for 3 credits, it's about $200, $250. As long as they get a C in the class, they also get Bergen Community College credits, which can then be transferred. The nice thing about our dual enrollment program is that we have all kinds of classes. So it's not just for your straight A, traditionally academic students. We actually have a nice relationship with not only Bergen, but also Fairleigh Dickinson, where students at all levels do have the opportunity to earn college credit. The next is our math department. Mrs. Schmetting is the supervisor. It's really now all rolled into STEM. So math, science, and technology is all one department, and she is the supervisor for all of the departments. Math is another course that students will have to take all 4 years that they are in high school. This is, the state requirement is 3 years, but the local requirement is 4. And then the other requirement, of course, is the testing requirement. And then students have to take Algebra 1 or whatever they're whatever they are enrolled in as a freshman, which could also be geometry, depending upon the course that they are enrolled in 8th grade. So for math, the sequence of required courses offers even more choice. So depending upon the math class that the student enters the high school in, will determine their trajectory for the 4 years. So if they come in Algebra 1, they go to geometry in Algebra 2, but then they still have some choice when they get to senior year. If they come in geometry as a freshman, Algebra 2 as a sophomore, again, they will have choice in junior year and senior year in terms of the class that they can take. Honors and AP classes. The only class that we do not offer at the honors level in high school is Algebra 1. There is no honors Algebra 1. Okay, those classes at the bottom, Math 107 and Math 108, are our special education curriculum. Also in math and algebra 1, in geometry, in algebra 2, and in college math, we have co-teach sections. So again, 2 teachers, both content certified. One also has a special education certification, and to the needs of our special education population. So as you can see, again, we have honors and we also have AP. Our only AP class at the math level is AP Calculus. That is AP Calculus AB. And that's a course that students can opt to take as seniors. We even have an elective in the math department, which is statistics and probability. The nice thing about this elective is that it does meet the 4th year graduation requirement. So a lot of times we will have students who have sometimes they even have gotten to pre-calc as a junior. They know they're not going to take a math or a STEM route in college. So they're going to end their math at pre-calculus. So they opt to take statistics and probability as a senior. It's just a new math for them. College math, algebra, geometry, algebra 2, the pre-calc, they are all algebra and geometry based. So sometimes it's kind of it's a nice refreshing change senior year to have a different kind of math offered to them with statistics and probability. Okay, and then the last class that is a 4-year graduation requirement it would be phys ed and health. So all students know that all 4 years in high school, if they're enrolled in a public high school, they will be taking English, math, PE, and health. Okay, so physical education, you can see that we've gotten away from the traditional team sports approach, and the curriculum now reflects more of a healthy lifestyle, which we hope appeals to all students as opposed to just our traditional athletes. And then you can also see the topics for health. In 9th grade, it's safety and human growth and development. 10th grade is driver's education. That's wildly popular. Obviously, it's probably the most studied for test. The final test in driver's ed in Health 10 is the actual written motor vehicles exam. And then in 11th grade, and in 12th grade, it's family living and problem solving. So again, every student is required to take and pass 1 year of physical education and health for each year in enrollment. The way this looks in a student's schedule is that we have 3/4 of PE and 1/4 of health. So that's how they earn their 5 credits in total at the end, but it's 3/4 of PE and 1/4 of health. And then you can see, obviously, PE 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then those are all of the topics for health. Health 10 is driver's education. The next department is science. Again, Mrs. Schmedding, because she's the STEM supervisor. So this is when the requirements start to lessen a bit. In high school, students are required to take 3 years or earn 15 credits in science. One of them must be biology. So biology has to be listed on the student transcript. Also, every student is required to take the state mandated NJSLA science test in the spring of junior year. That used to be a biology end of course test that they used to give to any student who was enrolled in biology, no matter what year they were in. But it was changed 2 years ago, so now it's a general science test that is given to all juniors. So again, which is nice, we do have some choice in the science department beyond biology. Everybody has to take biology, and that's done in 9th grade. We have honors, and then in 10th grade, you have chemistry or environmental science. You can take honors chemistry. So basically, the general rule of thumb is that your science class is dictated by your math class. So if you came into high school taking Algebra 1, then we suggest as a sophomore when you're taking geometry that you take environmental science, and then you can do chemistry as a junior. If you came into high school in 9th grade and you're taking geometry and you're taking algebra 2 as a sophomore, then we suggest you take chemistry. So we have biology, chemistry, environmental science, and physics. We have honors bio, honors chemistry. 2 or 3 years ago, the science department decided that the honors physics curriculum was very similar to AP Physics 1. It is an algebra-based physics. So they removed honors physics and replaced it with the AP Physics 1. So that's the honors track would be honors bio, honors chem, AP Physics 1. Again, you can see there's dual enrollment next to both honors chemistry and AP Physics 1, which means students can earn college credit if they sign up, pay for those credits. And then again, we have Science 107, 207, and 307, which are our special ed courses. And then biology, chemistry, biology, environmental science, and we'll get to forensic science on the next slide. Those are the courses that are co-teach, so that are supported for our special education population. So like I said, we do have electives within the science department. We have anatomy and physiology and marine biology, which are half-year electives. So they don't meet a science requirement, but they are taken in conjunction with another science. We will sometimes have seniors who don't want to take an AP science, but they still want to take something, so they might take an physiology. Anatomy and physiology is also wildly popular for students who are thinking about studying something in the health sciences, and marine biology for students who are thinking about going the marine biology route. We also have forensic science, which is extremely popular. A lot of seniors and even some juniors take the course. It's only offered to juniors and seniors. But when I started, I think we had 2, maybe 3 sections of forensic science. Every year we run 5 sections, sometimes 6, in order to meet the demand of the students. It's just a very interesting class. We also have AP Bio, AP Chem, AP Physics C. So in order to take AP Biology, you have to have taken biology. In order to take AP Chemistry, you have to have taken chemistry. In order to take AP Physics C, you have to have taken AP Physics 1. The designation between AP Physics 1 and AP Physics C is that 1 is algebra-based and C is calculus-based. So then also students would have to have had pre-calculus in order to take AP Physics C. Okay, so now on to social studies. Ms. Yoda is the supervisor of the social studies department. So every student is required to take 3 years, 15 credits in the social studies department, but the state is very specific about those. Students need to have 5 credits in world history, which they take freshman year, and then they need to have 10 credits in United States history. So we do US 1 as sophomores and US 2 as juniors. So this is the sequence of the required courses. World history, US 1, US 2. We do have honors. We have co-teach in all 3 of those levels as well. We also have AP US 2 as a course that would meet the 3rd year, the second US history requirement, which is also a dual enrollment class, if you notice that it says DE. We have quite a few electives as well in the social sciences. We have psychology, which is dual enrollment. We have AP psychology. So some students only don't want to commit to the full year in the AP psych, so they can take a half year of psychology. That's only available to seniors. We have citizen and the law. We have global issues, past, present, and future. We have financial literacy, which I will get back to, we'll come back to later. We also have AP European history and AP human geography and sociology. So AP Human Geography is the first AP course that students can take. It's offered to 10th and 11th graders, but just something to keep in mind is that if student was taking AP Human Geography, they are still also going to have to take US History 1. So this is an elective. This is for students who are interested in the humanities or social sciences, and that is going to be their trajectory. This is their first introduction to an AP course. Ms. Yoda is also the world language supervisor. The requirement for graduation is 1 year or 5 credits. That's the state local graduation requirement. However, for colleges, the more competitive the college you are applying to, the more years of your academic core you need, and world language is considered an academic core. So, like I said, the more competitive the college, the more years of a world language that students should have. We have French and Spanish, as they have at Union School. We have French 1, Spanish 1, all the way up to AP. We do have honors levels starting at Honors French 3 and Honors Spanish 3. We have Honors Spanish 4, French Honors 4, and then of course we have AP French and AP Spanish, and they're also dual enrollment courses. Okay, world language is the only department that doesn't have any electives. So now we get into our electives. So beyond the ones that are classified by department in English, in science, in social science, we also have a plethora of electives within business and computers, technology, fine, practical, and performing arts. Ms. O'Donnell is the supervisor for business and computer technology. Mr. Ursulisi is fine, practical, and performing arts. And Mr. Schmetting is STEM. So you'll see in the curriculum guidebook that we have divided up the electives into career strands. So this is just in an effort to help students who, if they have an idea of what they want to study in college or something that they want to pursue as a career, that these are the classes that they should look into taking in high school. So these are our fine and performing arts. As you can see, we have everything from, AP classes to half-year drawing, painting, ceramics. We have concert band. We have combined choir and band, because we have lots of students who want to do both. And it's hard to work both of those in because they are a full year. So a couple of years ago, we combined them and they spend part of the time in the band room and part of the time in the choir room, so that they are also able to explore something other than music. As you can see, we have our TV production. Our TV studio is pretty impressive. We were lucky enough to get a grant for the REF, so they are now they're all HD down there. They produce their own morning show. It's very hands-on. And then they also learn a lot about, manipulating video and editing and light and sound and things like that. We have, your traditional art classes. And then we have public speaking. So we have quite a bit to offer in the fine and performing arts. What is also really nice is that if a student is not a traditional art or music kind of kid, they still need to earn 5 credits over 4 years in fine and performing arts. So we have classes that they can take that meet the requirement that we wouldn't consider traditional art classes. We have web page design, we have TV production, the public speaking class, desktop publishing journalism. So if they don't really want to take a ceramics or a music class, they can still meet that requirement through something. Then we also have our practical arts. So here's where you can see that our dual enrollment courses go beyond just our most highly academic students. Our fitness or nutrition and our foods classes are dual enrollment. So students can earn college credits through those, also through our honors accounting class. So here's where you're going to find things like our business courses, our STEM courses. We have some more of digital design, computer courses, a lot within the STEM lab in terms of that would be like robotics, foundations of technology, things like that. So again, we have some things, as you can see, like photography was considered a visual art, but it's also considered a practical art because it is a career. So again, if a student is somebody who is more of that artistic kid and they don't really want to take a computer class, but they need to meet their practical art, they can stick with what they like and they can take photography to meet that requirement. So the requirements are every student is required to complete 1 year or 5 credits of a visual or performing art and 1 year or 5 credits of a practical art. And then also students are required to take 2.5 credits of financial literacy. So we have 3 classes that students can take to meet that requirement. We have a traditional financial literacy class. And that's actually, it's a semester, but 1/4 is taught by a business teacher and 1/4 is taught by a history teacher. So students kind of get both sides of it. They get the practical hands-on side with the business teacher, and then they get the theory and of economics and the way things and the financial world run in the with the history teacher. We also have Fundamentals of Contemporary Business. That is open to freshmen. That is a full year class. So they can take that if they wanted to get that requirement over with. And then we also have Investing in the Stock Market, which meets the financial literacy requirement. And then after those requirements are met and all of the other academic core graduation requirements are met, students still need to take 22.5 credits throughout the 4 years in order to wind up with the 130 credits for graduation. Okay, so I went through some of this already in terms of how we go through helping students choose the right courses. This is our first step. The next step is I will do this again with students. Then they will have the opportunity to meet with the high school counselors and some high school students. And they will actually put their course requests in PowerSchool at that time. Then they will meet with their union school counselors, who will just kind of review everything and make sure everything looks good. And then in June, we send home a letter with the schedule and say, okay, this is what you got. And if you are unhappy or you've changed your mind about anything, then they would get in contact with me or their high school counselor, and then we can make changes. And then it says the schedule will be distributed on the first day of school for everybody, but 9th graders, like I said, if they come to orientation, they will get the schedule on that day. We have actually, I think we started 2 years ago, actually turning on the parent portal a little bit earlier in August, because it actually, we discovered helps, because students then look at their schedule and they, instead of on the first day of school, there being a line out the door in the guidance office, I don't want to take this anymore, I changed my mind and I forgot to tell you, they can kind of do that. Once school begins, it's more difficult to change schedules. And something that I will impress upon the students as well is that our master schedule is student driven. So what that means is the master schedule is not put together until all of the student requests are in, and that is how we determine what we are going to run and how many sections of those courses are going to run. So the reason why we spend a lot of time going over this and making sure students are choosing wisely is because it will offset the balance of the master schedule if all the students decide in September this is not the class they want to be in anymore. The other thing we try to do is cut down on, a student wanted to take a class and then they show up on the first day and none of their friends are in the room and they're like, no, I can't do this, I need to switch to something else, without giving it a shot. So that's the other part of it. So we do take the course selection process seriously, because it is how we build the master schedule. The downside is that there might not be a place for somebody to switch into, because we have chosen the courses and to run based upon what the students have asked us to run. Okay. Okay, so credit requirements. So starting in high school, students start to earn credits. And in order to move through high school, you have to earn a minimum number of credits each year in order to continue on to the next grade. So in order for students to move from 9th grade to 10th grade, they have to have earned 30 credits in 9th grade. In order for a student to be considered a junior, which means they're in a junior homeroom, they have to have earned 60 credits between 9th and 10th grade. And then in order to be considered a senior, which means you're in a senior homeroom and you're able to walk at graduation, they have to be able to meet all the graduation requirements by June of their senior year. So every student is required to carry a minimum of 35 credits each year, which still leaves one spot in their schedule for a study hall. So 35 credits means a student can take all of their academic core, a full year elective, and a study hall. The maximum number of credits a student can take is 40, because we can only put 8 classes in a schedule. So each course is worth 5 credits. Semester courses are worth 2.5. So usually you pick two semesters, that adds up to 5. But that's very important because that's different than, you know, how it's gone all along in their education up until high school. So the credits are very important. The only way they can earn credits is by passing the classes. So the graduation requirements would be to pass state and Rutherford High School course requirements. That's everything that I just went over. To take all eligible NJSLA assessments, which would be ELA 9 or Algebra 1 or Geometry, depending upon the course they're in as a freshman. There are alternate assessments that students can take if they are unable to pass ELA 9 or Algebra 1 or Geometry. Students can use PSAT scores, SAT scores, ACT. We have tried AccuPlacer in the past. And, you know, every year we have a handful of students that, you know, testing is just not their thing. And we are able to do what's called a portfolio. And that's, it's state sanctioned. And basically students sit and if it's English language arts or math, depending, maybe it's both. And they sit and they do a portfolio assessment. We submit it to the state, and then they give us the approval that they've met the testing requirement. Since I've been here, we have not had a student not graduate from high school because they couldn't pass a testing requirement. Maybe because of attendance, maybe because they didn't earn enough credits, they failed classes, but not because of a testing requirement. We've always been able to make that happen. Our students have always been able to make it happen. And this is just a little graphic of the alternate requirements and the scores that are needed. Okay, so the resources, if you go to the rutherfordschools.org, which is our website, and go to the high school and to the guidance page, you'll find the curriculum guidebook. You'll also find the student handbook, which has many more rules about National Honor Society and credits and demerits and how we configure your GPA and how it's weighted and things along those lines. And then this is all the contact information for all the guidance counselors at the high school. Myself, Ms. Gaggis, Mr. Scuddy, and Ms. Griggs, we are the guidance counselors, and the caseloads are distributed by alphabet. And then we have Mrs. Cavabianco and Ms. Mariano, who are our secretaries. So when you call, you'll probably speak to them first. And then you can see the breakdown of the alphabet. I actually haven't run yet the 8th grade class and the numbers. So we did have to, J and K used to be Miss Griggs, but her caseload started to get very large. And I think we had less M and R's. So Mr. Scuddy's was getting smaller. So, you know, sometimes we have to move things around. I haven't done that yet for the current 8th graders, but I do that before we do the orientation with them so they know who their counselor is going to be. Okay, so any questions, contact your guidance counselor. You can ask your 8th grade counselor. You can always definitely feel free to reach out to us at the high school if you have a specific question about a class or anything along those lines. We can certainly help you with that. Okay, I'm gonna stop the share because I can't see the chat in the share. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and read some of the questions. So one of the questions was, do they have to dissect anything in biology? I believe they do, but I believe they're earthworms and not fetal pigs anymore, like back in the day when I was in school. Okay, so our AP, the next question is, can you elect for an AP class or are you invited in? So there are definitely criteria to get into an AP class. If you have to have an A- in the course, in the prerequisite, in order to get into the AP class. Used to be very strict. So now we also have, it's a grade or a teacher recommendation. We also have the ability for students to appeal in. So that means if they don't have the grade or the teacher recommendation and they would still like to take an AP class, they can actually fill out a form that we have. Mom sign, parents sign, we sign, the teacher signs. And as long as at the end of the first quarter, a student has a B, they can remain in the AP class. So we kind of give them a trial period. I guess the first or second year I was here, we actually made the courses less restrictive. So from the time I started to now, the number of AP exams we give has almost doubled, which is fantastic because our AP score, our average passing score, has not declined. So while we've kind of opened it up to more students and made it more inclusive. It's a pretty self-selective process. AP is much more rigorous. It's a lot more work. So generally the students who want to take that course are willing to do the work, and then they are successful on the exam. So we've been on the AP honor roll, I think like the last 3 years, which means our numbers continue to increase, but our percentage of passing students is anywhere between 80 and 90% every year, which is excellent given the fact that our numbers have elevated. Is there anywhere to see a detailed description of electives? Yes, in the curriculum guidebook. So the curriculum guidebook is separated out by department, and then all of the classes are there. Like I said, I will be sending down to the 8th grade counselors a modified version, essentially, of the curriculum guidebook that's just for the classes that students as 9th graders can take. So yes, I just went through this whole presentation and showed you all these amazing electives, but not all of them are available for 9th graders. So we kind of like made like a mini version just so that they are not confused by what they can take. Okay, so it says if they pick an elective in 9th grade and don't get into that class, can they take it in 10th grade? Or are the electives different every year? So yes, so every year a student is in high school, there are more electives available to them. So there's nothing that's grade restrictive in reverse, right? So like for instance, financial literacy, you can, it's 10th, 11th, or 12th grade to take it. So once a student is in 10th grade, if they put in for financial literacy and they don't get it, they can certainly then try again in 11th grade. And the way that the course selection is prioritized is obviously the core requirements, your English or math, history, PE, world language, all of those, they go into the schedule first, and then the electives are prioritized after that. Seniors get first pick, so to speak, because they don't have another opportunity to take courses, and then it goes down the line from there. Do we offer architecture? So we don't offer a specific architecture class. Students who are interested in architecture, it would be suggested that they take STEM classes because they do use some of the CAD software, but also drawing 1 and 2, because obviously students who are going to go into architecture do need to have the hand drawing experience as well. Are there going to be other grades mixed together for electives? Absolutely. So, you know, there are some that you're not. Psychology is only available to seniors. Sociology is open to 10th, 11th in grade. So 10th, 11th and 12th graders. So that's going to be mixed. But mostly pretty much everything is going to be a mix of students. There are not going to be freshmen in financial literacy, but there could be 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So that there is definitely going to be a mixing. How are honors tracks decided? So your honors requirements coming out of 8th grade would be, you need to have a B+ in the prerequisite. So my suggestion always, I know that I get a lot of questions about AP and honors, right? And I do understand that that's important, but the rigor level between an enriched course in 8th grade and the honors level in high school is different. And it's not just the course, it's the time restraint of all of the other things that students are doing. So when students get to high school, they're joining sports, they're joining clubs. And before you're in high school, you're playing rec, or even if you're playing club, you might have 2 practices a week and tournaments on the weekends. When you get to high school, it's 5-6 days a week, and it's after school every day for a couple of hours. So all of those things are something to keep in mind. And it's so say you decide to come into freshman year, then you want to take 2 honors classes in whatever your greatest strengths are. So say you decide English and history. That does not mean that sophomore year, after you have transitioned and acclimated, that you couldn't then add science or math. So I don't want to say track, because we don't really track the students. Students move in and out of honors, throughout high school. In the beginning, it is about, like coming out of 8th grade, it is about the grades. But something to consider is that, and we tell students this all the time, you have to think about, if you're getting an A in a regular class, how are you earning that A? Are you earning that A because you're getting A's on all of your assessments? Or are you earning that A because you work really hard and you do all your homework? So that's something to keep in mind. There's nothing wrong with staying in a college prep class and earning an A if you are working really hard to get an A. Something else just a lot in line with honors is, if a student is going to come up to the high school and they do choose to take all academic honors as a freshman, I'm going to highly recommend that students take a study hall. It's a free period during the day. They still get to take their electives. They'll have plenty of credits, but it gives them some time, especially if they know they're going to be playing sports, they're in clubs, or they do something outside of school that takes up a lot of their time. That I would definitely suggest a study hall so that they have some time during the day to complete some of their work. In which year will students receive sexual education? So that's more in senior year, in terms of they do like family planning and budgeting, and it's kind of the whole ball of wax in senior year. Have you seen AP classes account for college credits? So yes, and again, it's a gamble, just like dual enrollment is. So every college has a different score that they require on the AP exam in order for them to count as college credit. I can tell you now that AP Calculus, AP Biology, AP Chemistry, and AP Physics, students are not going to be able to test out of those courses in college. Even if they get a 5 on the AP exam, they're going to make them take that course again in college. However, they might allow them to apply those credits towards an elective. There are some colleges that will not take any AP credits at all. And we have students who graduate high school every year, and they have 15 credits between dual enrollment and AP when they enter college. So every college is different. The very super competitive, your Ivies and your first tiers, sometimes make it a little more difficult to transfer those credits in. Are there electives that work in the medical field? Yes. So we have anatomy and physiology. So we have forensic science as well. We have AP biology, AP chemistry. Those would be very important for somebody looking to study in the medical field. Oh, that's okay. Somebody asked twice. How do sports teams work for the high school? So just in case, I mean, I know I said it, but just in case you didn't hear. So we have 3 seasons, fall, winter, and spring. There's a registration period at the beginning of the season where students and parents, they log into the portal, they register for the sport, and then they're given information about practices and tryouts and things like that. So but like I said, something to keep in mind is that sports are 6 days a week. It's every day after school, and usually practices on Saturday as well. And when there are games and we're traveling to games, it can be late evenings. So that's why, again, why I stress, the importance of balance. Honors classes are important, but it's also extremely important for kids to be teenagers and to not be extremely stressed out by the courses they're taking and the sports that they are doing, or the clubs that they are involved in. So it is very much a balance. What elective do you recommend if someone is into fashion design? So we do have textiles. We have textiles and advanced textiles, and that's sewing. Actually, they're wildly popular for both males and females. I would also suggest, we have art by computer design, which is a digital design class, and then also drawing 1, drawing 2, and maybe even AP drawing. Most likely, if you're looking to go into fashion design, you're probably you're going to be looking to either go to a traditional art school or a school as an art major, which would require a portfolio, which is what we have, studio art and AP drawing, and both of those prepare you for that. Okay, I got through all the questions in the chat. What else? Does anybody have anything else? This is absolutely a record of number of participants. We usually get about 70 to 75 when we have the program here at the high school. So this is wonderful. No, that's it. You guys are gonna let me off easy. Okay, good. What are some examples of clubs? So again, we have, I don't even know the number of clubs, but we have clubs within every subject area. So we have like competitive clubs like math club, robotics club, science clubs, computer clubs. We have clubs that are strictly community service based. Interact is our largest club, and all Interact's goal and purpose is to provide community service. They have clubs within all of the world, within the 2 world languages, psychology. There's theater, art clubs. There's pretty much anything a student could possibly have an interest in, we have a club for. And that is something that's very important. And the kids are going to hear this a million times from myself, from our principal, Mr. Moreno, that, you know, nobody comes to school, very few, there might be a couple, come to school because they're super psyched to take a biology test. Students come to school because of the clubs, the sports, the activities, to see their friends. So in order to kind of get the most out of the high school experience, we are going to start pushing their involvement in something other than academics from the minute they walk in. Not only is it just good for them to feel a part of the fabric of the school, but it's also, it's good for a resume. For National Honor Society, you need to be involved. Besides having a 3.75 GPA halfway through junior year, you also have to be involved in clubs and activities or sports, things outside of school, whatever it is. But we don't want students to come in at 7:55 and leave at 3 o'clock and just be done with the high school. Our programs wouldn't survive like that. So we really rely on that. Yes, there is a student council. There is a debate club. We do not have a model UN, but we have the JSA, Junior States Association. Classes related to the medical field. Yes, again, AP Chem, AP Bio, anatomy and physiology, forensic science could be helpful for health related, psychology and AP psychology. While they're not directly medical, it's a lot about how the brain works, so that can be helpful to have that information. Is there a time frame in which they can decide to move down to a traditional class from honors? Yes. So we ask students, very good question, to stay for 30 days. So if a student has, put some thought and effort into being in an honors class, we don't want them to go in on the first couple of days and be scared away. So our policy used to be that they had to stay for the whole first quarter, but we realized that it was hurting some students who were not doing well. So now we decided 30 days. So by September, they have to wait until September 30th, and then they can make a drop from a regular class back to honors. They do have to consider that it might mean a schedule change. They might need to move some sections and some classes around. But yes, they can definitely do that. Yes, we have a debate team. So our schedule, A, B, C, D, is the exact same as Union. So that's not something that students will have to learn or figure out when they get here. Our schedule is the exact same as theirs. We are the rotating drop. We have the same times. The only thing that's different in high school is we have one lunch, and it's almost an hour. We also have an open campus. So students are allowed to leave school for lunch. Of course, I'm talking about in our regular school life, not currently, but we do run the same schedule as Union. Yes, we have a student council, clubs about criminology. Yes, so we have Citizen in the Law, we have Global Issues, we also have the sociology and psychology, and then I think there is a forensic science club, but that's that. Criminology or law. Okay, so we have 2 classes in foods. We have just a regular foods class, and we have a fitness through nutrition class. So the foods classes, it's foods, it's cooking. The fitness through nutrition classes has more of the science piece in it in terms of the nutrition. So those classes are dual enrollment. One of them you get culinary arts credits for. The fitness through nutrition, you actually get a nutrition 101 course credit for. My suggestion always is that a freshman can take foods, but I always suggest that they wait. So when students come in as freshmen, they have the most requirements that they need to fulfill. And as they move through, those requirements lessen and they have more room in their schedule to take the courses that they like. So if you take foods as a freshman, you can't take it again. So I always suggest that they wait till they're a junior or a senior and they can take the class because it is a popular one. How often do students meet with their guidance counselor? Once a quarter, formally to review curriculum and student life, and ad hoc as if needed. Okay, so at minimum, each guidance counselor will meet individually with their students really twice a year. So we have a grade level conference with each student. So we start off the year with our seniors. In September, we meet with all of them. We meet with them as a group and then individually because we're going through the college application process. Right after them, starting in October, we meet with our freshmen and we have our transition meetings with them. Right now, we're doing our junior conferences and they're about an hour each with each student and their family, where we're going over the application process or future planning, thinking about trade school, a gap year, whatever it might be. And then sophomores usually come after we finish junior conferences. And then on top of that, we also meet to do curriculum and scheduling planning on top of those grade level conferences. So that's the minimum. But we are constantly reviewing students' grades and their progress. When we need to see them, we see them. We have teachers who will sometimes suggest, hey, the student is having a hard time. Can you call them down? We have kids who bring themselves in and speaks to us. So there are some students who we don't see as often as others. So it really depends on the student need in terms of how much contact we have. Is there a list of clubs on the website? Yes. So there's actually, it's a slide presentation. Every club has a nice colorful slide. And it is under athletics and co-curricular. That is the place on the website where you will find the link to the co-curricular guide. Is there a club related to activism? Yes. We have a race. We have a unified club. There's one more. Amnesty International. We have the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance. So we have quite a bit in terms of activism. Clubs aren't required, but are recommended. Absolutely. Clubs are not required. There is no community service requirement at Rutherford High School. Some high schools do have that, but the majority of our students participate in community service. So putting a requirement on it, I feel like, we kind of feel like takes away the spirit of community service. Like I said, we have a varsity club and they do community service. So even clubs that are not service driven or that their mission is not service, they usually conduct some sort of community service throughout the year. Do they run after school? Yes, but now that we have that everybody has lunch at the same time and it's so long, a lot of the clubs will meet during the lunch. So they'll say, okay, you guys go eat for 20 minutes and then they come back and they meet for 25 minutes so that students who also play sports and who are running out the door to go to practice or a game at the end of the day can also be involved in clubs. So you'll find out who your guidance counselor is when I put out the lists of which students are coming in which groups I'm still working it out with Mr. Ryan on the 11th or the 10th to do the orientation. You'll know because you'll meet with your counselor at that point. Should students wait to put their courses in Power School for now? No, they can go in if they'd like. If they know how to do that already, they can absolutely go in. What'll happen is once the first day that the 8th grade counselors start meeting with them, that feature will be shut off so that the students don't go back in after it's kind of been decided. So yes, absolutely. The enrollment of the high school right now is it's actually lower than 734 students at the high school. Okay, that was the last one. Anything else? And I will give, if students don't know how to go in and request their schedules, that's another bit of information they will get on the 3rd from us up here. So they'll get a scheduling form just to kind of help for you and your child to kind of navigate it. So that, you know, like with all of the electives listed, they'll get the small booklet with the description of all the courses. And then we will, I'm sorry, I'll also include instructions on how to access the class registration in PowerSchool. Clubs look good for college, yes. So again, something, you know, to think about. I hate to say that it looks good for a resume, because that's not the reason that we would like a student to join clubs and activities. But yes, colleges do not want students to only go to class, go back to their dorm, do their homework, and repeat. Just like at the high school, we have clubs and activities and things like that. So do colleges, and they need students. In order to have a vigorous student life, they need students to join those things. What it also shows colleges is that students can manage. They can manage their time effectively. So, you know, they can play a sport, do a club, have a job, whatever it might be, while also maintaining their grades. So, and again, it's not the number of activities, it's the quality, it's the time they spend in those activities. And there are students who don't play sports, but they work because they have to. And that sends the same message that they are responsible, that they can manage their time, things like that. So there's no right or wrong answer for what a student should be doing with their time outside of school, but they should be doing something. How will remote only kids get the guidebooks? Will it be, so we're not, you know what, we're not gonna mail them home. I have to actually talk to the 8th grade counselors. What we will probably do is just make them available online, like the links to them, so students can access them on their own. What we use at the high school is, and we're gonna give the students this information, is Google Classroom. So every grade level has a Google Classroom, and we share an enormous amount of information at every level with students. So that's something that I'm going to ask students to join in eighth grade, the class of 2025, Google Classroom. And then we also use Remind. So each counselor uses Remind so they can communicate with both students and parents. So we will create the class of 2025 Google Classroom, and I will put those documents in there, but then they will also probably be posted at the Union School guidance webpage, so that the students who are remote can still go in and access that materials, because that's, you know, that's like half of the student. Anything else? Well, we're losing participants, 77. We're down to 77. We actually did reach 100, which was excellent. Okay, so if anybody has any questions moving forward, please feel free to shoot me an email. Like I said, this presentation with all of our contact information is already up on the website. But also, if you just go to the main guidance homepage, you'll see all of our contact information listed. So you can contact me directly. You can shoot me an email or give me a call, whichever is easier. And we will get back to you and answer your questions for sure. So thank you very much for meeting tonight, and so that I didn't have to speak to myself all evening, which is lovely. And I will also post this recording if any of your friends wanted to come tonight and they were unable to join us. So thanks very much. And I know it's only Thursday, but have a lovely weekend.